Hey, Christina. Thanks for getting this in. Here's your contact sheets. Let's see, and then here's your equipment setups. I'm so sorry, but I'm having a hard time understanding which equipment setup is for which shot. And I'm really having a hard time because it's hard for me to decipher. But thank you for getting all your images and your contact sheets and getting your exposures in there. Best case scenario, you also tell us your ISO and the millimeter focal length lens that you're using. But if you can't fit that in there, it's best to prioritize shutter speed and aperture. So, but I'm getting the feeling from this right here that these equipment shots are not the only ways that you had your lights set up. Let me know if I'm wrong. So every time you change your lights, and you're going to give us one of those as a final, you need to take an equipment shot. And you don't know which ones are going to be your finals until you're done. So basically, every time you change your lights, take an equipment shot, and then we just need either the two or whatever number of equipment shots you needed to create your finals, so that we can evaluate it. Because I'm having a hard time seeing specifically. I'm having a hard time seeing how this happened with either one of these setups. Yeah, I'm just really struggling to see that. Unless, you said your on-camera flash went off. That's why. Don't use your on-camera flash in the studio right now. That's something, a long time from now, after you're well versed with your lights, and I mean both your continuous tungsten lights and the strobes that you'll be using in studio lighting. After you really get down how to use those, then yeah, if you want to use your on-camera flash creatively, go ahead and do that. But don't use it as a crutch right now. I already had another student do that earlier in this assignment, and what's funny is I think I've taught this class 4 times, and this is the first time I'm seeing people using their on-camera flashes, so I'm like, huh, what? So don't do that. That's why I can't tell how you made this happen with your light equipment setup, is because you were using another light, your on-camera flash. And your on-camera flash is going to be a lot more powerful than the tungsten lights. Also, so anyways, I don't mean to sound harsh. I know this is the first time you're just taking these things out of the package, and this is the first time you're using them, and so really, actually, pretty good work for your first time ever. Pretty good work. It looks like you really did a good job thoughtfully metering your subjects. So you're metered all over the place, and you were taking averages and making ratios. So that's good. Best case scenario, you actually know what your light ratio is. If the lecture, or the portion of the lecture about ratios, wasn't completely clear to you, that's okay. I added an additional movie that I think is really great for step-by-step instructions on how to take light meter reading ratios. And it's in the announcements, and it's for using strobes, but the instructions are essentially the same for taking incident light meter readings with incandescents to create a light ratio. They're about the same. So let me get back to one of your equipment shots, because I want to talk to you a little bit about where you're shooting and how you're going to struggle with this. So when you're shooting in a tight space like this, specifically right by a corner, and then with blue walls, what do you think will happen? Dink, 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 dink. That's right. That's right, Christina. This blue light is going to be always reflected back into your subject, and you're going to have a blue cast to every image that you take, and you're going to have to be fixing that and fixing that and fixing that in post. So you're going to want to find an area that doesn't have saturated walls. You want something very neutral, like a medium gray, a white, or a black. Things close to neutral will work. You're going to have to do a little bit of post to clean them up, but they'll work. Like you can do off-white or beige walls or whatever, but hopefully you can find a place that doesn't have such saturated colored walls, doesn't have such an intense hue, because you're going to always have that. And you'll notice in your finals, these are really blue, and it's not just because she's wearing blue and there's a blue background. It's because the light is even blue. Everything is blue. That'll be really problematic. So if you own this place, or if you're allowed to, you might want to just choose an area where you're going to be shooting and change the color of the walls to white. And I even think white's problematic because so much light gets bounced around. I actually like something really dark. I find it aesthetically acceptable to have a room, one room painted like a nice deep charcoal gray that doesn't have too much color tint to it. And then, to make it so that it's not always a studio, like I'll hang some really bright paintings in it, because actually the really bright paintings look nice with the deep dark colors of the deep dark gray walls. And then you don't have a whole bunch of color cast on your images. But if you can't do that, you're just going to have to figure out something else to do. Another quick fix is just to buy yourself a set of black sheets and pin them up when you're shooting, and then that'll solve the problem too. Okay, and then so also because this area is so tight, you have to have your subject pushed way up against the background, and we can see down here in your last portrait that we can see every nook and cranny and bit of lint and wrinkle on the fabric, and that's because it's within your depth of field. Now, if you had her standing several feet away from this, well, not at f9 actually. At f9, it's probably still going to be in your depth of field. If you're using a much wider aperture, say something like f3 or lower, f4 or lower, and you had her standing several feet away from that, the fabric would be out of the depth of field, it would be out of focus, and it would be not a non-issue. The wrinkles and the lint and whatever would be a non-issue. But here, as we have it, it's actually really distracting. And then lastly, in a tight space like this, not only are you getting a color cast from these crazy colors, but you're also bouncing light. Like this wall is so close to her that it's acting like a bounce. So wherever your light is, it's going to be bouncing back from this wall onto her. So in this case, it's bouncing back blue light, but it's bouncing light. So you want to have more space, like a lot more space. And it's hard to find an area big enough to shoot in to do a really good job. But you just got to be creative and resourceful and make friends. Okay, so I hope that feedback makes sense. Again, good first shot here. Good try. Okay, get rid of that on-camera flash. We don't want to use that for this class. We really want you to just use your continuous lights, and then in studio lighting, you'll be using just your strobes. These things are nice. You can use these creatively to add a hair light or something, but you'd want to, hopefully it fires wirelessly and you can put it like on a stand and have it just coming down. You want to use it as like a tertiary light, because it's also shooting at a different color than your tungstens. It has much different Kelvin temperature rating. So here in this picture, where is it? There? It's totally overpowering the image. And I can see two different colors of light very easily. Like I can see the yellow tungsten down here, but she's illuminated by a really blue flash. So it's problematic. And down the road, when you have a better sense of how all this stuff works together, go ahead and do that. But now, just don't. Just put it away for right now. Or, later on in the term, I'll probably give you some creative suggestions on how to use it. But right now, just work on your tungsten lights. Just really, really focus on those. Okay, so anyways, again, thanks for working. I could tell that you worked really hard on this. And a good start. Get a bigger spot, less blue walls. But the use of your lights is actually pretty good. Okay, thanks, Christina.